You had mentioned attorneys care too much about talking about how the sausage is made. I think I might slightly disagree, but so I'm going to ask you more about that
Hmm.
because don't you find value from like just a marketing standpoint of demonstrating the value that you've added?
Well, certainly if you're billing by the hour, you have to,
Yeah.
because you have to justify your bill. But if you're doing outcome-based billing, like flat fee billing, you don't need to do that because they're paying for the result. The result is I'm going to be divorced, I'm going to have an agreement, and it's going to be done in this period of time. But if you're billing by the hour, of course, you have to justify everything you do. Every phone call, what was it about? Every email, what was it about? Why'd you talk to the adversary? Why'd you send that letter? Why did you do this? Why'd you do that? So when I say don't talk about how the sausage is made, I'm talking like at the beginning of the case. Attorneys like to sit down with clients and be like, oh, first we're going to file a complaint, and then we're going to go to court and do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. And they don't understand clients don't care about those things at
Yeah.
the beginning. I mean, as they're getting billed, of course, they want to know what's going on in their case. But at the beginning, they don't care about that. They want to know, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to help me? And that's where I think a lot of attorneys lose clients,
Sure.
because clients leave and they don't have that feeling of, this person doesn't want to help me. All they talked about are all these things that are going to cost me money.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to cost me money. I know it's going to be expensive. Divorce isn't cheap, but start talking to our clients about the outcome. Like, what are we trying to achieve for them? Like, when I have an initial conversation with somebody, I say, what are your three goals? What are they? They can be anything from, I want to lose weight, to I want my custody of my kids. Whatever it is,
Sure.
just what are your three goals? And then I write them down and I share that with them in an email, that here are the three goals we identified. And throughout the case, I keep coming back to those goals. So when we get off the beaten path because their spouse did something stupid, I come back and say, well, listen, your goal was to get this thing. Okay. If we get this thing, can you ignore this other thing that's going on? And I just keep them focused, because divorce is one of those things that, like, it's tit for tat.
Yeah.
Someone does one thing and someone does something else. And then someone does one thing and someone does something else. And and that's why divorces can cost 50, 60, 70, $100,000.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your client focused and unemotional as much as possible on, what are you here for? Like, what's important for you?
I love that for a lot of reasons. Cause you can like to start, like you can identify any red flags or like you head it off right at the beginning. I can't do that for you, kind of a scenario, or you can make sure that you're on track with everything that they're wanting. You could also at the end say, you told me at the beginning that you wanted these three things and you got these three things. And I think that's great. How do you deal with situations where they say they give you something on their list of goals that just it's unreasonable or just unattainable?
I tell them right up at front.
Yeah.
I understand you want, well, I'll use custody because a lot of times that's something that comes up. I want sole custody of my kids. I don't want my spouse to be able to make any decisions or anything. I'll say, okay, I'll ask them why first. Why is that your goal? And usually it's some stupid reason, like, he's an asshole, or,
Right.
he cheated on me or something like that. If they say something more legitimate, like, oh, he's got a drinking problem or he's got a drug problem or something, okay, then I'll go into it a little bit more and we'll talk. But if it's something really just dumb, I don't beat around the bush. I cannot stand attorneys that promise the world to their clients to get them to pay them.
It's the worst.
But a lot of divorce attorneys do.
Injury lawyers too.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's really bad. And so from my perspective, I don't want to have to be looking at my client 6 months from now saying like, well, I know I told you that, but and give them all the reasons why now we're not going to get it, when I knew at the very beginning they weren't going to get what they were asking for.
Yeah.
So I try to adjust their goal. And I say, okay, if we can't get that, what would be the next best result or next most acceptable result for you? And I try to like get them to adjust their own goal to something that's more attainable. It may still be a stretch, and I'll tell them that. I'm like, okay, listen, we'll try to get that. We'll get as close to that as possible. But, you want to pay $1,000 a month in alimony? We'll try to get as close as possible. But if we get to like, 1050 or 950, that's considered close. Do you understand that, we may not get exactly what you want, but it's going to be close. Do you understand that? And, as long as they can understand and we can have that communication at the very beginning, I'm fine with that. I just don't lie to my clients.
Yeah.
And the ones that want to be lied to, well, they can go
Go
somewhere
somewhere
where they'll be lied to.
Yeah. I like how big you are on setting those expectations up front. Because yeah, the whole idea of these lawyers overselling at the beginning, like I understand the desire to sell your firm, but like when you overpromise, you're setting yourself up for failure at the end. It just makes no sense.
It absolutely doesn't. And I'll take one step further. In my firm, when you call our office, you talk to a non-attorney salesperson anyway.
Yeah,
So we don't like the attorney doesn't even have any contact with you until you've signed a retainer and paid.
right.
So, which I wish more attorneys would come around to this because still to this day, when I tell people I have this model, they look at me like I have five heads and like, how can you have a non-attorney sell? But they're selling the outcome. Like, what can the firm do for you?
Sure.
They're not selling how the sausage is made. They're not selling the process. They're selling the outcome. And if you get someone who's good at doing that, they build a good rapport with a client because they're talking to a client on an emotional basis, not about their case, not about the law. When they come in to see the attorney finally, and we have our strategy session, the client's already has a good, warm feeling about these people can help me. And they hear everything the attorney is saying in a much different way.
Sure.
They're like, okay, I already trust these people. So if they're telling me that I can't get this, okay, that's fine.